Okay, what if a memory wasn't just in your head? What if it was so powerful it could actually haunt a house? That's the huge question at the very heart of Toni Morrison's masterpiece, Beloved. So today, we're going to dive in and deconstruct one of the most important novels in American literature. The book kicks off with this line, and it's just unforgettable. It doesn't say the house was haunted. Nope, it says it was spiteful. Right away, you know this isn't just a building. It's a character in its own right. And it's alive with this very specific angry energy. Well, to really get that, you have to look at the story behind the story. Because this isn't just some ghost tale. It's an incredible exploration of history, of memory, and of a trauma so deep, so profound, that it literally becomes a physical thing. First things first, let's just be clear about what we're dealing with here. Beloved isn't just another book you find on the shelf. It is a literary giant, a true cornerstone of American fiction that really did change the cultural conversation. I mean, look at this. The critical acclaim is just off the charts. When the Nobel Committee gave her the prize, they said she gave life to an essential aspect of American reality. And what they were talking about was the psychological legacy of slavery, a part of history that, let's be honest, had been pretty much silenced in the mainstream story. This book didn't just join the conversation. It forced a whole new one that was long, long overdue. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. This incredible work of fiction, it's actually rooted in a shocking, real-life historical event that Toni Morrison herself discovered while she was editing a collection of Black history. The entire story is a direct response to the tragic case of a woman named Margaret Garner. You see, the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 meant that even if you made it to a so-called free state like Ohio, you were never safe. So Margaret Garner's choice, it was made under the absolute terror of being captured and dragged back into bondage. And this just shows you the genius of what Morrison did. She took this historical footnote and completely transformed it into this deep, profound exploration of a mother's impossible choice. She wasn't just retelling a story. She was really correcting the historical record, giving an inner life, a voice, and a sense of agency to a woman whose humanity was completely denied by the legal system of her time. Just let that sink in for a second. The crucial point is right here. The law saw Margaret Garner's child as property, as livestock. This legal definition just erased the child's humanity and, by extension, her own. Morrison takes this unspeakable horror, the fact that this act wasn't even legally considered murder, and she forces us, the readers, to sit with it and confront what that really means. So you have this immense historical trauma. How in the world do you translate that into a novel? Well, the answer is in the book's unique structure. The way the story is told is every bit as important as the story itself. It's actually designed to make us feel the psychological weight of this history. To get this idea across, Morrison had to literally invent a new word, rememory. As the character Sethe explains it, the past isn't just something you remember in your head. No, it's a physical thing that hangs around in a place, almost like a landscape, just waiting for you to stumble back into it. It's an incredibly powerful way to describe the intrusive nature of severe trauma, almost like a literary version of PTSD. And Morrison uses this whole toolbox of narrative techniques to pull you into that feeling of rememory. The timeline is all broken up, jumping around, just like a fragmented memory. You hear the story from all these different characters, which completely shatters the idea that there's only one official version of history. And the writing itself, it feels like someone is right there telling you a story out loud, connecting it to this tradition of oral storytelling and communal healing. And that brings us to why she uses magical realism, you know? The horror of slavery was so extreme, so far beyond what we think of as rational, that it could feel supernatural. So a ghost, a trauma that's literally made of flesh and blood, becomes the only way to truly represent that inescapable, haunting legacy. Okay, so if you're faced with a past that refuses to stay buried, a past that can literally walk right through your front door, how on earth do you even begin to heal from that? The novel is just brilliant in how it shows trauma being written right onto the body. For Sethe, it's the literal scars on her back, a permanent, horrifying map of violence. And for Paul D., it's more like an internal prison. He locks all his painful memories away in this tobacco tin in his chest. It's a survival mechanism, sure, but it also leaves him completely emotionally frozen. So the story really presents these two conflicting paths for how to deal with all this pain. On one side, you've got Baby Suggs. She preaches this message of communal healing and self-love, out in the clearing, trying to get people to reclaim the very bodies that were brutalized. And on the other side, you have Beloved, who is the past itself, possessive, all-consuming, and threatens to isolate Sethe and completely swallow her future. And this, right here, is the crucial takeaway. Individual healing is shown to be pretty much impossible. Sethe cannot get rid of this ghost on her own. It's only when the community of women, the same community that had pushed her away, finally comes together that the cycle of trauma can be broken. All right, so let's zoom back out. Decades after it was first published, why does Beloved still feel so vital, so challenging, so important? Well, get this. In 2006, the New York Times went out and surveyed hundreds of prominent writers, critics, and authors, and they asked them one question. What is the single best work of American fiction published in the last 25 years? The #1 answer they got back was Beloved. But here's the paradox of this book. Its legacy is totally double-edged. It's celebrated by critics for its artistic brilliance and its profound honesty. But that same unflinching look at the brutal realities of slavery makes it one of the most frequently challenged and banned books in American schools. And that enduring tension right there between celebration and censorship, that's exactly where the novel's power comes from. It doesn't give us any easy answers. Instead, it leaves us with this haunting question, a question that goes way beyond the pages of the book and right into the fabric of our own shared history.